Hey, how you guys doing? Today is March 17th, Friday. I'm going to be doing a little technical analysis with you on the markets, show you what's been going on. Everything here is for learning purposes only. If you need any advice, please contact a advisor, financial advisor, which I'm not. So here we go. I'm going to start here off with the Qs. We're looking at a daily graph yesterday. The cues were strong, and they were the ones which kind of gave me an indication this market is going to turn around. We had the whole banking sector coming in, and what I do is usually whenever there's news in a particular sector and something's going on, I will break down that sector. I will look what's the sector, the banking sector. That's the KRE ETF. So I take the KRE ETF. I look at all components. I look at all the other regional banks I find online. I put them all. I'm starting to look at all of them, like 30 stocks at a time, and that's what I'm trading for those few days, and the movements are up and down, and that happens in different sectors at different times, and that's the way to really day trade or swing trade if you like. So let's start with the Qs. So I had a bull flag formation here on the Qs. Okay, the Qs were, here's your pole. I had a support line every single time we came to this area. This line obviously started a little earlier for me over here. I move it as I go along. And the same thing with the resistance. I had a whole resistance level, and the Qs were coming up to this level. We broke through it. As long as we stay above and we have support here, then I'm going to start looking for longs, right? But until we break it, this whole area was a resistance area for me. And I actually look to short resistances and to buy supports. Those are low risk trades for me. And from that, it could develop into a longer term trade, right? It starts with short term, develop to long term. But I try to take as less risk as possible. And I always try to do that. Buying support, selling resistance. This way, if it breaks out, I know I got to get out of there. So I'm going to go to a 60-minute graph to show you exactly what was going on here yesterday. And here's a 60-minute graph. We still have a bull flag formation. And this is one thing that kept my eyes open, telling me this market might not come down. I got to be careful. I still shorted, don't get me wrong, but then I change as I see things going along. So here we are. The Qs we're supporting. That's why these trend lines are important. You always need to keep them in there in your graph so it give you an indication. And we reached this area of resistance. The first resistance level was around the 301, and we broke that. It was March 15th high, I think, or March 14th, and we broke that area. And then you also see this new trend line that I had going on within this tunnel, right? Within the flag. We broke it. We just shot through. We stayed above it, and we kept on going higher. So that gives me an indication that I got to stop selling. I got to start looking to buy some things. We'll go into a 5-minute graph. Let's see how it looks on a 5-minute graph. So here we are in a 5-minute graph, right? There's my formation, same bull formation, right? And here we are on the 301 level. Let's open it up a little bit. What happened here on the 301 level? I had a resistance, a blue line resistance here, and we are shooting up through this bull line resistance and staying above it. As long as that happens, I know that I'm going to have to think about longs at that moment. What was happening in the Dow Jones? The Dow Jones, I had a little bit of a trend line over here also, which I know this is a resistance area, okay? And it wants to come to that resistance area. So I didn't get that indication in the Dow Jones. I got one in the Qs. In the SPY, I did get some sort of indication. The Dow Jones was a lagger. The SPY, I had a resistance from the 13th and from the 14th, which we broke through the resistance area. This was a double top. It could have been a triple top, but it just didn't form out that way. We ended up blowing through that area, and now we kind of got support. We're going to see what the market gives us today. But these are indications throughout the trading session. And it happens, let's say, I don't know, I think it happened at 1 o'clock or something like that. 12 o'clock, something like that. We kind of broke through, we went higher. So this is how at the end of during the day, I get a little bit of points, a little bit of alerts to show me what's going on throughout the market itself. And then I could base my trades off that. I'm going to change the screen here And we're going to look at screen number 3. And here we are with the KRE. I'm going to go to the KRE. We're going to start. This is the sector itself, and I'm going to look at the sector itself. Okay. So first of all, what I did was I took a little bit of Fibonacci. I kind of broke it down. And on the resistance level, from the minute we fell down all the way up here, and on the resistance level, I see that we're playing somewhere around the 23 area mark. Other than that, I didn't really see much. The only thing I could point out to you is that every single day's high, low, open, and close, okay, are significant areas, whether it be a daily graph, whether it be a weekly graph, or whether it be a monthly graph. And that's what I look for. And I look at those points, something significant should happen to the stock. It should either get resistance or support from previous days, highs and lows, or previous days, open and closes, if there was some sort of volume going on over there. And those are important points. So I'm looking at the 60-minute graph on the KRE. This is what I was looking at yesterday. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bigger for you. Let's ignore the support line. Okay, what I had here was, I had a triangle. I had a resistance level, one resistance level. Okay, I'll get rid of this for you to make life, I won't get rid of it. We had a resistance level. You see this triangle coming up down here? And I had a triangle coming up from the 13th and from the 15th. Yesterday was 16th, so I only had it coming up to around here, okay? And I had a triangle. I had another little bit of resistance area. This I could remove, okay? And what happened in my triangle? Before the Qs started flying up, okay, the banking sector was hitting the support area. Now, if I believe it's going to continue going down, which is what mentality is telling me, go with the trend. The trend on the KRE was going down. I want to look to short stocks. I need the support. And what did I tell you before? I buy supports, right? But this is a sector that's going down, so I want to sell. How am I going to sell around support? I need to see the support break. After it breaks, I need to see staying below the break. And then going down, I will short some stocks. Let me show you what happened here, because that did not pan out. Here we are in a 5-minute graph, okay? I'm going to change this triangle for you a little bit, okay? This was a triangle, okay, on the 60-minute, just so you get a sense of what's going on. This is what was going on. This was the triangle of support around that area. We'll get an exact point of where it was. 43.15. 43.15 was the area of support. Okay, what happened here at 43.15? We are breaking this area of support, but notice there's another area of support, the March 13th low at 42.75. So if we have two areas of support, you got to take both of them into consideration. You are not officially breaking support unless both of them really break, right? So we're coming here below this area of support, the first one. We didn't even hit the second one. We're starting to slowly play games. Somebody is taking positions here. Volume, volume, volume. Some market makers are taking some positions here, whether it be long or whether it be short. They're getting ready for something. I don't know what's going on, unless I'm watching block trades. And then I have suddenly a fast push to the top side because somebody's noticing what's going on and they're starting to buy now to the top side. They got their positions. Everyone else is jumping on the wagon. So I didn't break the first support. They broke the second support. They broke the first one. They're not showing me signs that they're going down to the second support, even to the real one of 42.75, the low of March 13th. They're staying above it. My alerts are now honing and saying, hey, golly, you got to watch out. What's going on here? And what's going on here is I got to watch out on any of my shorts. So right away, I'm starting to trickle down. If I have shorts, I'm starting to close some of them, take some profits, maybe even 3/4 of them, keep a quarter. Now I even have to start thinking, am I going long? I don't want to go long. I want to continue going with the trend, but this is not the way we trade. You cannot buy into what your trade is. You have to go with what's going on. And what's going on is that the Qs we're pushing up, which I showed you on breaking a flag formation and breaking March 14th high. And therefore, I got to now start thinking if I'm going to go long or not, right? So the market's showing me they're going long. I want to go long. I'm trading the KRE right now. I'm not looking at anything else. I'm not going to go in there and jump in some other stock on Tesla or Amazon because I'm not watching it. I'm watching these at the time. I got 2 sets of eyes, not 15. So I have to start thinking about these loans. And that's where you can get in trouble if you don't change your mind as the market shows you that it's changing. So the KRE is flying up, and then this is your chance here. KRE fly it up. Let's say you had positions, you closed them, all of them. You don't know what to do now. KRE came to its resistance on the triangle. It break through, but lucky you, stock market always comes up and down, right? So it comes back to this resistance area. This is what I'm talking about. We break a resistance or we break a support. And now we're staying and hovering above that. Here we go. We've got support, right? For about 20 minutes, whatever it may be. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You could play here, buy whatever you want right around here. This is an indication that the stocks are going to go up, right? So even if I'm not playing the carry, I'm just watching what's going on with the carry to give me an indication of what's going to happen with the stocks. I see that they want to go long, and that's when I jump on the stocks. If I'm not jumping on the KRE, at least I'm going to jump up on the stocks. And then we're going to go and we're going to see what happened with these stocks. Let me share the screen with you. Screen number 4 we are. Here we go. And we'll start with WBS, okay? WBS, my orange is my low lines. So this was March 13th low, right? Somewhere around the 36.90 area. And what happened here? When the KRE was at its low that I was just showing you, WBS was making believe that it's going down, starting to trigger everyone's longs. They're kind of stop losses. The market makers know what they're doing. They're breaking support a little bit, but you got to make sure it stays below that support. Did it stay below that support for 15 minutes? They're just playing here. 1, 2, 3, 20 minutes. They're playing just like in the KRE. It's a 5-minute graph. And then lo and behold, boom, they're flying up. All these lines are my resistance lines. Plus I had, if you're noticing, same thing, a triangle over here, right? Broke through that triangle. My first alert that we're going up, boom, coming up to resistance. What happens around resistance? We stop at a certain resistance. I'll get rid of these, okay? Well, I won't get rid of them so you could see. And now we're hovering again, just like the KRE was hovering above that triangle resistance I was showing you. Here, the same thing. We're hovering again, hovering above this first resistance that is now going to turn into some sort of support. Because if we're hovering above it, that's a support. And then boom, we're flying through the resistances and we're just going back up. At the end of the day, okay, day was almost over. I'm like, what am I going to trade? FRC's flying up. This is flying up. This is flying up. Everything's flying up. And yeah, there are stocks to buy. You could buy it. But let me show you how you could buy them. Zion, okay? I was looking at Zion. Look at Zion, trend line going down, going down, going down. So beautiful. Such a tunnel and such a tight formation. When the market flies up, what happens to Zion? Boom, Zion is starting to fly up. As soon as it gets out of that formation, I'm getting indication. I got to jump in there. I got to jump in there with a little bit of, I'm going to put my risk around underneath the 24, but I got to jump in. I'm not going to jump in with a lot because, this market's going down and I'd rather be sure. But, the news was coming out. The fundamental news is what moves everything else, and that creates technical. The move on the news was that the FRC is getting backing from the big banks, and that helps the sector, helps the markets. So Zion is shooting up. I got to take a chance. I got to jump in there somewhere. Even if I woke up late, okay, this thing was at $28 and I'm getting somewhere around 29. I'm taking a whole $1.50 as a stop loss. For this day, my risk reward is worth it because things are flying $10, $15. We see FRC going up $20 in a day from 20 to 40, Same thing with Wall. And the stock obviously continues all the way up to like 34. How long are you going to stay in there is another question. And then at the end of the day, the same thing happens again. I'm just sitting there. It's 3:20 in the afternoon. I remember and I'm noticing we're breaking the downward sloping trend line again. Now I know everything is already, we're going up, right? We're going up. This is the trend now. Maybe we'll continue till the end of the day. Do I want to take a risk? Do I want to take a risk? So now what I do is I got a really low risk trade here, right? Let's say I will shoot that here and the stock is trading. So I know, look, it's not breaking this 31 areas. I could take a 26-cent stop on a stock like Zion. And if I'm right, then my risk ratio is a lot more than 1-to-1, because if this thing jumps up, it jumps up a whole dollar. And boom, you get to make yourself a little bit of money. NYCB, okay? Yes, NYCB got to 583 at some point, I see here, right? So this was the trade yesterday. Also, same thing. We're going to look at it March 16th. Here we are. Stock was just coming down. Look at this crazy trend line coming down, right? And then it starts shooting back up. So I have my old trend lines up here, and I know that if the stock, this was a price, people jumping in and out on the 15th, they're doing the same thing here on the 16th, and the KRE was breaking through its triangle. Also, I was showing you trending now above a resistance, which is turning to support. So now I know if the stock is going to go up, if the market's going to continue going up, and my stock is going to hover over my resistance area, right? These are my 10 minutes to get into the trade. I see it supporting, great. Supporting, KRE is going up, the Qs are going up, then the KRE is going up. Whichever one is going first, my stock should go up, and I want to be able to jump in there. Same thing here we go. EWBC, the stock was crazy yesterday. It was just nuts. It was just the formations were getting me even confused with what was going on. And I didn't want to take too much risk on these stocks. So when I don't want to take too much risk, I'll just take like tomorrow's option expiration. I'll just go into an option instead of the stock itself. But here you have the same exact thing if you're looking at it, right? I had a support here that was the low of March 15th, and the low of March 16th didn't reach that support. Just like in the KRE, we're not reaching this area of support. We're staying above it. That gives me indication that the stock is behaving exactly like the sector itself. Let's see what we had in Wall. In Wall, what we had was, I don't think I had anything that significant besides this trend line, but I didn't get in there. FRC, I did have something very interesting. Where is this? There she is. Here, this was a pre-market. I opened it to pre-market. I had a resistance and a resistance on the pre-market, and then throughout the day until about 12 o'clock, this trend line, I noticed that would be my resistance, and we broke that and we came back in. This was my area that I could buy right around here. So get into these stocks on when you're noticing the support and resistance areas, because they are key levels. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I hope to see you guys again. Have a great day.